What you're about to view is not some conspiracy theory. It's based on actual evidence provided by the police to an Ontario court of criminal law. Surveillance. It's everywhere, especially casinos. But ask yourself, what's the difference between surveillance and a scripted play acted in front of movie cameras? This surveillance taken in a casino. Whoops, this is a movie. Oh, here we are. This surveillance taken in an actual casino. Windsor Casino and the OPP provided it to the courts as evidence of criminal misconduct. The surveillance looks normal enough, nothing unusual as the operator scans through the players on the floor. Casino surveillance is used to follow the money. There are overhead cameras at every table recording purchases, bets, and cards played. You may be wondering how I'll be able to prove this video has been fabricated. If I show any doctored video, how long do you think it'll be before the casino lawyers have this off YouTube and me up on slander charges? By the way, have you noticed the date changed? This is a very complicated case. We'll just be looking at one small part of the surveillance record. Casino surveillance is high-tech. It includes digital facial recognition. Here's an example of some actual footage enlarged. Supposedly that was me entering on the left and headbutting a pit boss. I was arrested shortly after that last scene and taken to a holding cell in the casino basement. This is an enlargement of actual police footage. Everything looks normal. Let's get back to our floor surveillance. Now in this next scene, it's alleged that, whoops, this is our movie. Here's the actual surveillance in evidence. In this scene, it was alleged I grabbed a pit boss by his suit lapel and shoulder, then tried to pull him over a blackjack table. The casino said this was the best surveillance available of the incident. Here's an overhead view from the table I supposedly pulled the pit boss over. I was supposedly sitting on the left in that dark smudge area. I suppose some cameras just aren't as clear as others. So we have some murky and distant surveillance images. How does that prove it's been fabricated? It doesn't. In order to do that, let's first look at the video recording process. Ever set the time on a VCR? Try yours at home. You can set it to any date and time. This is the VCR model used to record the Windsor Casino surveillance video. Its date and time can be changed too. It has an easy open panel to access controls to change to any date and time you wish. Well, if that's all it takes, let's set our date and time display too. Here we have what appears to be an overlay screen for a casino surveillance system. You can see how the time ticks down in the lower right-hand corner. With the casino surveillance camera overlay, there's really not that much difference between our movie and our actual casino surveillance. Now, does our movie appear to be surveillance, or does our surveillance appear to be a movie? What's the difference? So you can set the date and time display on a surveillance video to anything you want. Does that prove it's fabricated? No. In order to do that, we have to look a little closer at video recording. Conventional film records at a rate of 24 frames per second. That means the sprockets move 24 still images per second past the projector lens to create the illusion of movement. Video, on the other hand, records at a rate of 30 frames per second. And it doesn't matter what camera, it doesn't matter what speed you play it back at, it's still 30 frames per second. To summarize then, a VCR timestamp can be set to display any date and time. VHS video records at 30 frames per second. And one last thing is simultaneously acquired images portray their subject as having the same physical position. This is always true, even with images acquired from different perspectives. The point of view may change, but the subject remains in the same physical position. Think of a replay in a hockey game. No matter how many cameras record a goal, on replay the puck crosses the line at the same instant. A horse race photo finish is another example. Both images show the same horse won. Here are two simultaneously acquired images taken from different perspectives. One, the surveillance video frame, and two, the photograph. This is the proof that Windsor Casino surveillance video is fabricated. That scene provides the proof of video fabrication. Watch for the camera flash. Here it is again in slow motion. We can see the officer's hands are on the subject's back. To determine exactly what occurred, extract individual frames from the surveillance video around the time of the camera flash. Compare the position of persons in the photograph to their position in the video at the instant of camera flash. Their position in the photo should precisely match their position in the video at the instant of flash burst. Let's have another look at the photo. The officer's left hand is in my jacket outside breast pocket, and her right hand is on my left shoulder. An independent expert extracted video frames from the casino surveillance. This is the only frame a flash occurs. It should match the photograph. Do you see the officer's hand in my pocket and her other on my shoulder? Let's look at the series again. The officer's hands are still behind the subject. This is the first sight of her hand as it moves from the rear to the front of the subject. Her hands are now positioned as in the photo. 27 frames after the flash occurred. That's almost a full second. How is it the video is not matching the photograph? Does that make sense to you? Again, here's a closer look at the photograph. Frame 4, both hands are visible on the back of the subject. Frame 50, the hands are not visible on the subject at flash burst. Frame 77, her hands first appear as in the photograph, 1 second late. But how is that possible? There must be a reason. There can be only one logical explanation. There are two photos and two videos. Windsor Casino released an authentic photo and a fabricated surveillance video. It withheld the authentic surveillance and the fake photo seen to be taken on the bogus video. Windsor Casino employees did it to cover up the misconduct of 3 co-workers. An ambush assault by Rick Gauthier, Ernest Morrissey, and James Haiti. Who else is involved in this? Don Rogers, casino manager, and a host of others. Who else knows about this? In April '05, I wrote a letter of complaint to the AGCO and copied the Premier of Ontario, who replied to say he would have the Ministry of the Attorney General look into the matter. After months of waiting with no response to my letters, I finally sued the Ministry and the Attorney General for neglect of duty. Only then did he respond to say he would not investigate. So, on his first day in office, I asked the Prime Minister to investigate, but the RCMP response didn't even mention the casino. Soon after, it was reported the FBI were investigating an alleged bribery scheme involving the casino surveillance director, who was arrested by the OPP, who are in charge of casino surveillance. Again, I wrote the Prime Minister to express the urgent need for independent investigation, and I copied Premier McGuinty. It was reported the Prime Minister and Premier held a secret meeting only days after receiving my letter. Now, I don't know what they discussed, but the reply I got shortly after their meeting said the Ministry of Justice and the Attorney General of Canada have no supervisory authority over provincial governments. In spite of their secret meetings, the public has a right to know. Was the requested RCMP investigation into alleged illegal activity at Windsor Casino used by these leaders to further any political agenda? Is this how Canadian government works? Citizens' rights traded in secret Saturday afternoon meetings? Now I'm going to ask you to do yourself and all Canadians a favor. Call, email, text, or write Mrs. Harper or McGuinty. Tell them no more secret meetings. Tell them to investigate Windsor Casino, this incident, and its surveillance. Tell them this is too important to sweep under the rug.